This is Ryan Buckner, Chief Knowledge Officer here at Schellman. And whether you've been doing this for over 20 years like me, or perhaps just getting started, you likely have some questions on what does it take to be effective at an IT audit firm. Well, today I have a very special friend and colleague, Kaylan Vrana. Hi, Kaylan.
Hi.
All right, so whether you're an old dog like me or if you're just getting started, you probably have some questions, right? So I figured I'd get one of our experts here. Now, you're an emerging talent manager, is that right?
That is correct, yes.
Okay, so now for the vast majority of our history, we only hired people with demonstrated years of experience and certifications. Maybe they had some experience at even one of the big four accounting firms. But now the market's changed, and we've taken a couple of calculated risks with respect to bringing some new people in that do not have that demonstrated expertise and maybe all those certifications, but we created a path for them. And I'm very excited to have you here to talk about our Emerging Talent Program.
Yeah.
Share with me a little bit about why we're doing that.
Yeah, so the Emerging Talent Program, what it is essentially a very structured program for new college graduates to come in and learn about IT audit and the methodology behind what we do here at Schellman. But we also want to make sure that we're pouring into these new graduates as well and making sure that they feel supported when it comes to business acumen, professionalism, time management, all of those things that I know I had to learn right after school. So it's not just learning the day-to-day job and IT audit and who Schellman is, but it's also making sure that we're able to help them grow as professionals as well.
You know, I really appreciate you saying that so much, particularly coming after the last 2 to 3 years where we were in lockdowns and really didn't have the opportunity to interact with people the way that we're starting to now. I think that it's so important when you talk about making that transition and sort of explaining to them the role of professionalism and what it is that their expectations would be to do so really coming out of an isolated world into sort of what we're doing right now.
Yep.
How has recruiting been post-pandemic? So
it has been very strange. So campus recruiting is very different than your standard recruiting methods. It's got its own timelines. Different schools do different things. They have their own job sites, and then we have our sites. So it really kind of depends. I've noticed different schools are doing things a little bit differently. They're also having more of the virtual options. You just have to go to all of them.
That's right.
You have to figure out, okay, are the students at this university going to be present at the career fairs that are virtual or in person? And you can't really know unless you do both.
That's right.
What I have found out though is the majority of our campus students, they are coming back to campus. And so in-person events are absolutely back. I think a lot of people do have virtual options, and I don't think that'll ever go away, which is great. But having that in-person career fair and coming into classrooms, that has been absolutely successful. It's come back full force, and it's been really great to be in the university setting again.
All right, that sounds exciting for a lot of reasons. But who are we looking for? What do you find? Are we looking for finance majors, IT majors, cybersecurity majors? What's sort of the best candidate for us to be looking for someone coming out of school?
Yeah, so we definitely can look at the entire resume. We look at the classes that they're taking as well. I will say the majority of the candidates that I've spoken to just this past semester have been MIS, or information technology, that wants to work with clients. We do absolutely have accounting students as well that want to be on the more technical side.
That's right.
We do have some finance, cybersecurity, a lot of minors. Not a lot of people necessarily major in cybersecurity, but a lot of minors or certificates. So if you have an interest in being client facing, but also have an interest in technology, more than likely you are studying something that allows us to move forward in the interview process. I actually have even talked to someone that went to school for more criminal justice, but then had a cybersecurity minor. And so that was a really great opportunity for our privacy team in the future.
That's right.
Definitely a lot of options, and it really just comes down to each individual, but I would say the majority is going to be MIS, or we're going to be looking at accounting, mainly in the business schools.
Back in my day, we did not have such a thing as IT audit. So I'm a classically trained finance and financial accounting major. It sounds as though we're still interested in those that have that traditional accounting role, but also you mentioned information technology, minors in cybersecurity. It sounds like a very diverse mix, and almost anyone that has a willingness to, I guess, learn a new skill in this particular industry, there's a place for them here at Schellman.
Yes, again, mostly business majors. We do have some tech, but yeah, absolutely, because this program, we don't expect you to come in knowing a lot. You've just graduated college.
That's
you know,
right.
you're moving out on your own for the first time. So we are here to teach that.
That's right.
The willingness to learn, that is definitely something you have to come with. It is great to have, again, more of the business background of like accounting or MIS. Data analytics is another one as well. And then of course the cybersecurity, or maybe one of those in a minor as well. Definitely a lot of options. We do have some finance students as well that like to do IT. They're interested in IT, but they want to be client facing. So that's really, I mean, that's the biggest thing too. You have to want to work with clients. You really want to make sure that you're good with working with people. And so we do talk about that in the interview process, but again, it really is a diverse candidate pool, which is fantastic. I will say too, it's really great for the accounting students. A lot of accounting students feel that there's only one path.
That's right.
And that is that CPA path.
That's right.
Which requires that 150 hours sitting for that exam. That is, it is definitely a lot to study and take those exams. A great certification to have.
That's right.
But not everybody's ready to do that right out of college. And so more of your traditional CPA firms that don't solely focus on IT audit, they are going to require that, usually within the first few years. And so there's a lot of people that's not really necessarily for them, and that's okay. And that is something that's great about Schellman. We don't require that CPA. We will support you through it, but it also doesn't have to be done before you start. You can do it a few years into your career, and then you can get started in the workforce a little earlier than having to go back and pay for a master's degree or double major to get your 150 hours. So.
Gotcha. Well, now you've got me excited. So I'm interested, I sign up, I want to join Schellman's Emerging Talent Program. What does day one look like? Is this a 12-week program? Talk to me a little bit about the program.
So once you get accepted into the program, we're going to all be in person / hybrid for the first year. We actually have an amazing office space in Columbus, Ohio. It's a great place to live. If you've never been there, I loved it when I went. It is temporary, it's 1 year, but everyone can be together. And what I did notice throughout COVID, a lot of people did have to start their jobs straight from college remotely.
That's right.
And that's really difficult to get to know people and understand the culture, and I don't even know who to ask questions to.
That's right.
So this will allow not only a camaraderie amongst your start group for that year, but you're also going to be seeing people that are flying in, teaching, just wanting to get to know these students, our recent associates. And so that is going to be a great benefit as they continue to grow their career, to network and know people within the firm. So the first 12 weeks is what we call the boot camp week, well, what I call the boot camp week. And that's going to be in person in the office in Columbus, and that is the training. So that is 5 days a week, and we're going to do lecture style, we'll do group work, a lot of learning.
That's right.
We'll have guests visiting and teaching certain things, so again, you get to meet tons of people in the firm, which is great. But then you also are learning and growing together as a team. You get to lean on each other. But then after that, you start going to a hybrid. We are, which you are aware, we are a remote company. We have people everywhere.
That's right.
But when you are just graduating college, going to school on Zoom and doing client work and your everyday job online is very different.
That's right.
So let's ease our new student, or our recent graduates rather, into that. So we will do hybrid for the remainder of that year, and then they get to move wherever we decide.
Sounds like a very supportive but very thoughtful and ordered program as well. So it sounds like there's this boot camp, about 3 months or so as you described, where there's a lot of in-person interaction. And then after that, it sounds like you mentioned a hybrid model where you're actually doing client work, but that program is still ongoing, so you still maintain that support. Is that right?
That is correct. And that's another key reason why we do have people move to Columbus. And we do provide different types of relocation bonuses depending on location. But yeah, we do want to make sure that people are able to be in the office. And again, it will be hybrid after the initial boot camp. And you are able to still ask questions. You have a principal down the hallway, you have a senior associate down the hallway, you have your peers next to you, which maybe they understood something that you haven't run into yet. Right. So you have a lot of support to be able to ask questions. And then again, just building that camaraderie before everyone goes to their long-term locations after the year.
Oh, what do they need to do to take the very next best step for joining Schellman?
Yeah, so we do post our roles on our website. If their school is a handshake or what we call simplicity schools, they have different higher job boards for their school specific. I do post on those as well, but they can apply, and then typically it's not a 5 or 6 interview process by any means. Again, you're coming in with just a college degree, and we understand that.
And that's all you need.
Yeah, so we do want to make sure that we can have just an introductory call to talk about the program and get to know each other. It's not necessarily an interview. And then we actually go through the interview process. Could be 1 or 2 interviews, might have an informal conversation in there as well. And then typically that's when we extend the offers. If you do accept, we have a lot of people that accept, really ahead of time. That's kind of the market today.
That's right.
So I try to send out monthly emails about things that are happening in the firm, trying to make sure that everybody, while they're finishing up that last year of school, feel included, feel a part of the family, and are absolutely still able to reach out to myself or some of our other HR members to get any questions answered that they have leading up to their start date.
Yeah, it sounds like there's a lot of investment on our side into the student. It's a heck of a way to start a career. Thank you so much, Kaylan, for your time today.
Thanks.
Again, this is Ryan Buckner with Schellman. And if you've heard anything at all that has piqued your interest with respect to Schellman perhaps being the next step in your career, reach out to us, schellman.com/careers.